All right, welcome everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are at currently. In this call, we are basically going to talk about the Meta Andromeda updates, but we'll name it the Meta S strategy for 2026 because basically this is the most important change. And then, by the current looks of things, you'll have to adjust your strategy based on the Andromeda updates. So, in this call, we discover what the Andromeda change is, how you need to iterate your campaigns, your audience testings, your creatives, and then we'll also discover some other strategies. We can talk about creating content, iterating with the AI, because AI is going to have a huge role moving forward in your media buying and even your business journey as well. So, if during the call you have any questions, just feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat. And then I also have a call to action to join my school community which I just recently updated. Now you have two options to join. You have a $9 per month plan, and then you also have the $19 per month. With the $19 per month, you get everything in the standard, all the trainings, weekly calls, plus a one-on-one onboarding call and a free high-level sub account. So we recently had a couple of new members, and I'm also hosting these calls in the group. So let's go to the calendar. Here are all the calls for this month so far. I do these live calls, and then also we have some other calls that's only specific to the group. I usually just name these Fix Your Ads, where you can join and then ask any questions about your campaign. And then also did some updates recently to the classroom, mainly for this one. It's a new classroom section, the high level account setup. So this is for new users who don't have agency account, but they got a free sub account from me. Then now they have a over an hour long guide for the step by step exactly how they need to set up the sub account. So that's the latest updates. We'll also look at some of the best practices when setting up an ad campaign. I'll use my own account as an example. So that's the idea for this call. Again, let me know if you have any other questions, and then we are going to start. Just sipping on an energy drink. It's 7 p.m. and I'm quite tired from this week. After this call, I'm going to edit some videos because I have lots of YouTube content to publish for you guys. Meta strategies, creative iterations. So I think those are going to be interesting. But let's start with the document. So let's start with the Andromeda updates. Andromeda is basically the largest meta update that we had ever since the post iOS updates. Back then, it really changed the tracking, the way we had to set up the pixel, and then we had to utilize the conversion APIs more and more to keep collecting the data accurately. Now, with Andromeda, it's basically about the AI. So, Andromeda combines AI driven modeling, improved attribution, and advanced event prediction. Stabilize performance even when your data is noisy or incomplete. So this means your CPM is going to be more consistent. There are going to be less CPM spikes. Maybe one day in the US you have $28 CPMs, and then the next day it's about $50, which is pretty hard to manage. And then you will also get fewer random drops, which also happens. Of course, if you are running a business, there are weaker days. Maybe a Tuesday morning is not as strong as a Saturday evening, but still, we had random drops where maybe you didn't have any conversions for 2 weeks or 3 days. So it's going to help with that. And there's going to be a smarter budget allocation across creatives and audiences. So the reason why Andromeda was created, because we had lots of data loss from privacy changes. So this is the iOS updates, and then the machine learning models needed a cleaner unified inputs. If you noticed, if you're running campaigns, Meta is using more and more AI. There are AI suggestions everywhere, and then advertisers kept trying to find the best audiences, the best hacks, audience testes, um, lookalikes, custom audiences, remarketing, but now we no longer need to do it. So we'll talk about this in a bit. So we just want a simple experience. And I think with the updates where we are heading to is basically going to be in the future when you are running your ads, you basically need to write an ad copy. You need to write the copy for your image, and then you need to prepare your ad creative. But after that, Meta is going to decide everything, your perfect target audience, your perfect countries to run the ads in, and then also the perfect placement. So I think in like 3 years, 2 years, you don't need to be an expert to be a media buyer. You need to be more of a creative person and then have a good eyesight and creative ideas to improve your creatives, because that's going to be the way how you can stand out, not about tweaking your campaigns and then hacking your audience, for example. So the core changes with the Andromeda is going to be the events upgrade. So now it uses a blended pixel and conversion API signals to predict conversions, even where there's no event fires. So for example, you have a brand new pixel without any history, even then you can start running the ads. As a result of this, you'll also have a stronger attribution system. And then delivery algorithm rewrite is basically the learning phase is going to be shorter and requires fewer conversions. This is best for two examples. One is if your ad budget is low, so you can't spend $100 a day. So without that budget, there's no way you exit the learning phase. But now with the changes, it's requiring fewer conversions. So even with a smaller budget, you can get out of learning and then have your ad sets in the active status. And then it's also good for brands, for e-commerce brands that have a high CPA, so high ticket item, and your cost per acquisition is high. Then it's also going to make it easier for you to exit the learning phase. Next is the creative level optimizations. So now Meta can identify the winning hooks and angles faster. So if you are using a CBO, but even in an ABO, it's gonna be true. If you are spending across 10 ads, and the first two ads are getting most of the spend, then that's a sign that those are going to be your winning creatives. There's no point of pausing those two ads that are getting spent and then testing the other eight, because they are not going to convert. Meta is getting smarter with this, so we'll have to learn to trust the AI. And then we are also going to have reduced audience dependence. So lookalikes and interests, especially interests, no longer matter. So what you'll notice is your retargeting pools are going to shrink, but they are still going to convert. So I have some active examples of campaigns that I'm running where maybe the Meta daily ad spend overall across all campaigns is around $500, but we are only spending around $40. So less than 10% of the total budget goes to remarketing because the audience is small, the frequency is high, and we have around 6x to 10x return on the ad spend. And there's no need to fatigue the audience with higher ad spend. So the pool is smaller, but they are still converting well. Broad targeting outperforms niche setups. So the only reason why you need an audience test today is if you are testing different countries to see which market reacts the best to your campaigns. But you definitely no need to set a fitness or a powerlifting interest if you are selling weight bats, for example, or any weightlifting equipment. You just let it run on broad, and then Meta is going to decide based on your ad copy and creatives who the target audience is. Reporting is going to be more stable, as we discussed, less more big drops randomly during the days. Your winning creatives are going to last longer, which is great because you can leave your winning creatives inside an ad set and then keep it running for a long time. You no longer need to really use the post ID strategy to duplicate ads into a scaling campaign. However, I still use it, but you don't need it to do it as often. And now losing creatives burn money faster because AI stops them early. So it's going to save you some money because AI is not going to spend any money on the losing ads. I'm actually not sure if this sentence is correct. So they are actually not going to burn money because AI is spotting the weak creative. So there's a mistake here. But the next steps are the important on how you can adapt your strategy immediately. So you need to consolidate your campaigns, stop audience testing wherever it's possible, and start creative testing instead. Use Advantage Plus where possible, especially in e-commerce. Keep the budgets stable before editing. So if you start a new ad set, even if the performance is good, never double the budget. That's a red flag. It was a red flag 2 years ago as well, and you shouldn't do it now either. If you need to change the ad spend, then scale your campaigns by 20 to 25% at a time, and let's wait at least 3 days before scaling again. Use high signal tracking setups with conversion API. So conversion API is going to be important both for e-commerce and lead generation as well. And then make sure to add new creatives every week because Meta loves the new data. For example, I just added 6 new ads yesterday to my campaigns, and immediately I got overnight a new customer just because of the new tests. And these were not even creative tests, these were just ad copy tests. So new text. And then make sure per funnel stage only use one main conversion event. So either have purchases or leads, and those should be really the only conversion events that you are using. Don't use link clicks, landing page views, video views, or post engagements really. They they are not going to get the right kind of customers. You are going to get cheap traffic that likes and clicks a post, but never going to turn into leads. So try to stick with leads or purchases based on how your tracking is set up and what you are selling. And your creative strategy under the Andromeda, here's what you need to look out for. So, depending on how good your hook is, that's going to determine your CPM. So, we also have custom metrics for your hook rates. I made some videos on the custom metrics that you can check out. And then the message clarity going to determine the CTR, your click-through rates. So your messaging needs to be clear and talking to your target audience. And then depending on how you demonstrate your product, that's going to determine the conversion. So what you need to produce is simple product demos, clear before and afters, fast hook within 1 second or maximum 3 second hooks, face-to-face camera, explaining your product, explaining your offer. You no longer need really over edited content now that everything's AI made. We are going back in time, it feels like, because previously, maybe 4 years ago, it was really worth creating high production quality, great videos. But now, as everything's AI generated, just of talking face to face to your camera is going to be more converting because people are going to know that it's not an AI and that it's actually a person behind the camera. And yeah, the next point is basically covering that. UGC style is going to be performing better than the polished audio and studio shots. So the recommended funnel structure is going to be, of course, we'll keep the top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So that means cold audience, warm audience, and then product aware basically. But we no longer control the audience stage. So, for example, top of funnel, we no longer control by adding audience exclusions. For example, excluding everyone who visited your website, who engaged with you on Instagram. Now we are going to target the top of funnel by using a broad audience and using creative testing. And we are mainly looking for CPC, CTR, and thumb stop ratios, which is the same as hook rates. Middle of funnel, so the middle stage of your funnel, people who've already engaged with your ads but have not yet converted. For those, we need to educate. So the goal is to show value and explain your product. So, for example, if you are doing e commerce, add to cart to link click ratio is going to be a great metric to track. Again, a custom metric that you can set up inside Meta. And then for bottom of funnel, again, proofs, testimonials, reviews are going to work well. And then we are aiming for conversions. So it can be a percentage of lead conversions, or in case of e-commerce, a purchase to add to cart ratio. And then the goal, of course, here is to close sales. So the best decisions moving forward with your ad campaigns is going to be staying consistent, avoiding changing budgets, stay consistent on creating new creatives, focus on creative volume, not audience hacks, so no longer need to use exclusions, different interests, lookalikes, custom audiences. Make sure to use Advantage Plus wherever it's possible. Use high quality product pages since they heavily impact conversions. Of course, this is an evergreen advice. It was true 2 years ago and it's gonna be true 5 years from now as well. You no longer need to overtrack the KPIs. Five to seven is going to be enough, and you need to trust the system and let Meta AI do its thing. So the main takeaways I highlighted that creative is going to be your new audience. That's what you need to focus on. You need to have a consolidated structure. I recommend using a 5 campaign structure moving forward. I created a new video on this. Maybe it's not uploaded yet, but I'll share it with you guys. And better tracking going to mean better performance as well. Make sure to use broad targeting wherever you can, and then it's all about the AI. So to drive this home, we are going to jump into an ad account. And then here are, for example, the campaigns that I'm running for myself currently. And we are going to duplicate one of my campaigns, and then we are just going to do a setup and just show you some of the best practices that I use and some of the suggestions that I don't use from AI and the reasoning as well behind it. So here's a new campaign. It's a creative testing campaign, and the naming convention I use, for example, the Whoop is just standing for my agency, Wupscale, and then the conversion event. So, for example, it's for my paid school group, but this could be, for example, website lead generation. It's just for myself, so I know which offer this campaign is for. And then, of course, this is the creative testing campaign, and the ABO means it has the budget set on the ad set level. So ABO is short for ad set budget optimization. So we are using auction buying type. As I said, campaign objective is either leads or sales. So in this case, I'm using sales, ad set budget, and you don't want to share your budget. I usually leave this empty because if we set the ad set budget at $10 or $50, we want it to spend only that money and not more or not less. And then we don't have any special ad categories. For example, this could be mm, housing, finance, health campaigns. You see financial products, employment, housing, politics as well. So that's something I use in the campaign setup. Now you can also, you see we have the options to turn it into an Advantage Plus sales campaign. So this could lower the result. So we can apply now. And let's see what changes. The main change was basically it's going to use a campaign budget because Meta is now recommending a campaign budget. The only reason is why I'm using an ad set budget is because it's easier to control your ad spend when you do a new test, for example. Now, if you go inside this new campaign, I duplicated the previous campaign, so you see my naming convention is per week. So for example, 2 weeks ago on week 49 this year, I tested new concept, tests, some iterations of winning ads, and then just yesterday I set up a copy testing. So let's go inside. And then we'll see week 51, we did a copy test for US audience. It was an Advantage Plus targeting. I only used Facebook and Instagram, but I did use a broad targeting. So my conversion location is website. Usually you will be using website for purchase campaigns and lead generation as well. Make sure to use maximize number of conversions. This is even the recommended option. And the data set is basically the pixel that you want to track your results with. So as I said, it's for my school premium group. The conversion event is going to be purchase, and attribution model is I'm going to be using the standard. Just make sure once you click more settings and go to attribution settings, make sure you have 1 day engaged view also turned on. So it's collecting as many information as can, especially if you use videos because engaged view is only for videos. You can set your daily budget, start date. I usually just set a start date and no end dates. So campaigns run as long as I keep them on. For the audience, I recommend using Advantage Plus. So the other way would be limiting your reach for your ads, clicking this button, and then you can limit or you can apply value rules, but I recommend you stay in the current setup. The only changes you can do is basically the location. In this campaign, I'm advertising for the whole US. You can set a minimum age. For example, if you are promoting maybe CBO products or, oh, it's not CBO, what's the name? Um, I forgot, but if you are promoting certain products, so for example, alcohol home delivery, you need to make sure, for example, in a couple of states, it has to be over the minimum age of 21. You can exclude custom audiences, but we no longer need this. And then for the placements, you see we also have the Advantage Plus on. All platforms are being used. And then if we go to the ad level, something so for example, we start at the top, we name our ads. I usually use multi-advertiser ads. So basically with this feature under other competitors, under their ads, your ad can actually show up here at the bottom. So I always keep this on. You can enter your website destination. So for example, it's my school community. And then I turned off personalized destinations for this campaign because I don't need optimized website destination. The only reason where I would use this feature, we go to edit, optimize website destination, and then keep it on, would be if you have an e-commerce business and then, for example, you are using a catalog ad and you are using the homepage. Now, maybe they go to the catalog and then they select a specific product. Now, this feature is going to enable them not to go to the homepage, but go to the exact specific product page that they clicked on in the catalog. So I think that's powerful. It makes the setup easier as well. But in my case, I have a specific landing page where they must go, so I turn it off. Under the creative setup, once you have your image, your correctly cropped sizes, make sure that you check the creative setup as well, because here it can get tricky. Make sure you don't have the branding on, and also make sure you don't have the site links on, because for example, if you know what site links are, it's basically different landing pages of your home page. So for example, if you have a home page, for you it could be your blog posts or testimonial page or contact us page. But in my case for school, on school.com there are tons of other communities. So if I had it on, it would be actually advertising my competitors. You see these groups, Perf Academy, pressure washing, land flipping. I definitely don't want to pay money to advertise those businesses, so I keep it off. Really important. Now, if you scroll down, here's another version or another feature that I suggest you not use. That's going to be related media. So we spent time and money creating this ad that we think is going to work best. So we want to test this since it's a creative test. But if you were to use related media, it would add 6 more images. And then if you get a conversion, it will be really confusing on exactly which image did convert because you actually have 8 images running inside the same ad. So keep this off. Make sure there's no media being used in the ad other than the one you set up. We also don't want any AI generated images for now. These don't really look great. Maybe 1 year from now I'll change my mind, but We definitely don't want it. We just want one primary text, one headline, and one description, and then also make sure not to use any of these AI suggestions and any of these ad copies that Meta is suggesting. And then also, I don't use any of the creative enhancements because these can totally change your layout. It can add a random music that's not at all related to your brand or your ads. And for example, text improvements can also completely change your copy. And then based on your text, it's going to create a headline that may not even be related to your offer at all. So to avoid confusion, I suggest you not to use any of these features and then just keep all of them off. And then that's all. We basically went through the full setup. I have the pixel tracking, and then I also add URL parameters for all my ads. It's good for high level tracking and also for Shopify if you have an e-commerce store. But that's my basic setup. I'll make some more detailed videos on it because I actually want to remake my basic videos for the meta ads, setting up your business manager, because these are good. These are kind of informative, but the problem is I use my old setup, so the audio quality is quite bad. And as you can see, the image quality is also terrible, my old. I think it's just the laptop camera, but I had no lighting in front of me. So yeah, just for the better quality, I'm going to remake these videos. And it's actually funny to see because I have my Christmas sweater on. Actually started my YouTube journey around a year ago, and then we are currently at almost 500 subscribers. So if you are here watching the video and then you are not subscribed, big mistake. Make sure to subscribe so you stay updated on my upcoming videos, on my upcoming shorts. I have lots of videos planned. I have videos scheduled until mid-January, so I have some time to work on new content. And yeah, that's all for today. We have the main takeaways with the Andromeda updates, main takeaways to set up your meta strategy for 2026. Thanks everyone for being here. I keep pushing out more content. Maybe not anymore this year because I take some family time next week, and then Monday, Tuesday going to be busy with client meetings. If you have any questions, just shoot them over in the YouTube chat, or you can also join any of my school communities. I actually have two. So I have a free one, I have a paid one, but actually in both of them, if you are interested, I can offer a free onboarding call or just to get you on board, discuss your plan, and then if you need any help, we can do a consultation and or just continue with the weekly calls. So if you are interested, definitely check those out. Otherwise, here are the main takeaways, and then thanks for being here. I'll stay here for a minute or two. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, if I don't see you guys again before the year ends, I'm wishing you guys a great Christmas, Merry Christmas, and then I wish you a happy New Year 2026. We are ready to attack it. It's going to be amazing. So take care, everyone, and have a good one.